Okay, so last we left off, Arisu all but writes Yamauchi's name down in the death note, while falling headfirst into Ayanokoji's schemes. The story starts up in Ayanokoji's group, and it's literally falling apart. Utter silence. There was no cooperation. And things were about to get worse because there was a knock on the door. Nagumo on the other side. He wants to quote-unquote hang out. Not like anyone can deny him. He was with Kiriyama and 2 other third years. Remember, Kiriyama is plotting with Ayanokoji, so the situation is tense. They can't slip up, not even once. And the reason Nagumo showed is because he wants to deepen their bonds. The third years with him were Ishikura and Tsunada. Again, not their models, but we'll make do. Nagumo wanted to play cards, but neither of the third years were down. The fact he wants to play cards is interesting because Ichinose also suggested playing cards back on the cruise ship. I bet she learned this trick from Nagumo. She does want to follow in his footsteps. Ayanokoji has seen this trick before, so Kiriyama's intel was correct. Nagumo is testing the first years. He wants to see if anyone is a threat. Nagumo ripped the vinyl, unpacking a brand new deck. Again, the third years were not down, but after some pressure, caved. Nagumo suggests betting on breakfast. The more you win, the less you have to cook. Ishikura called him out. That's a group decision. But Nagumo didn't think it was a big deal, so the game was a go. Koenji was indifferent, but Nagumo pressed him. Does he want to play this game? Koenji didn't hold back, saying he could care less, asking if that answer satisfied Nagumo. Nagumo laughed it off. He found Koenji interesting, asking if he wants to join the council, which is code for becoming Nagumo's pawn. Obviously, Koenji turned him down. Meanwhile, Ayanokoji watched. After that whole confrontation during winter break, Nagumo completely ignored him. Did he lose interest? They decide to play Old Maid. If you don't know the rules, let me explain. You deal out the entire deck. You look at your hand. Notice any pairs. You put the pairs face down in front of you, so no one has any pairs left. The game starts with the dealer. We'll call him player 1. Player 2 takes a card from player 1's hand. If that card forms a pair, like before, you put that pair in front of you. If it doesn't, you move on to player 2. Player 3 takes a card from player 2, sees if it forms a pair. And if it does, like before, you put it down. The cycle continues until all pairs are down. The Joker is the only card without a pair. If you're left holding the Joker, you lose. So you wanna get rid of the Joker. That's the entire game. For once, Ayanokoji knew this game. Not like when he played volleyball. They'll play with 6 at a time. 2 players from each year. And rotate out whenever. Nagumo let everyone shuffle to prevent cheating. First round was Yukimura and Hashimoto. Again, Ayanokoji found it strange. When it came to cards, Nagumo oozed confidence. Like he was sure he'd win. Round 1, Ishikura finished first. Then Kiriyama, followed by Nagumo. Second year is victorious. Hashimoto finished next, so it's down to Yukimura and Tsunada. First year versus third year. Yukimura had 2 cards while Tsunada had 1, meaning Yukimura had the Joker. Unfortunately, Tsunada picked the right card. The first year is lost. Breakfast counter, 1. Hashimoto tried cheering up Yukimura, but it's not working. The second round commenced, and Yukimura lost them the game again. Breakfast counter, 2. Yahiko, seeing the pattern, asked for a switch. Nagumo boldly declared he'd let the first years win. Third round underway. Nagumo made small talk with Ishikura. They didn't seem close. The topic of Sudo came up. Dude is a real asset to the basketball team. However, Ishikura was annoyed with Nagumo. He keeps picking fights with Manabu. Nagumo claims it's only to be acknowledged. Nothing more. And as Nagumo predicted, the first years win. The final moment came down to Nagumo and Tsunoda, and Nagumo picked the wrong card, but dude was not fazed, suggesting they move on. The fourth round commenced, and the first years lost again. Breakfast counter, 3. Hashimoto asked for a switch, but no one wants to play. Nagumo beckoned Ayanokoji over. Can't really deny the man. Nagumo wants to beat the third years. Ayanokoji checked his hand. He had the Joker. As the game played on, halfway through, one of the seniors picked Joker from Ayanokoji. He eyed Ayanokoji for a second, but then proceeded as normal. As Nagumo predicted, the third years lost. Time for the final game. Surprisingly enough, Koenji wants to watch. This will be relevant later. The game commenced and Ayanokoji got Joker again. In the beginning, I thought this was strange, but then I remembered how he faked his personality for the first 3 books. Put on a wacky act. Or you can say he played the Joker. So him receiving Joker every time is so poetic. Nagumo said he'd be okay with the first years losing again. So they finished 1 by 1 until it was just Nagumo versus Ayanokoji. Nagumo taunts him, looks like he's not having fun. Ayanokoji's like, I'm just not good at expressing myself. Nagumo did not buy it. He asks, is it because you have the Joker? It's not a hard guess. It's a 1v1, so if Nagumo doesn't have it, Ayanokoji does. Ayanokoji did his best to avoid small talk. 2 cards left in his hand. He thought Nagumo would pick the winning card, but he didn't. He picked the Joker. Ishikura was audibly confused, claiming how Nagumo should have won. But Nagumo brushed it off, reminding everyone it's a game of luck. Time for Ayanokoji to pick, and here's where he reveals Nagumo's scheme. There are 2 cards left, but it's not a 50-50. Nagumo marked the Joker when he shuffled, and the third years are in on this. They know which is the Joker. Now our boy had a choice, but he acted clueless and went for his pick. But Nagumo held the cards back, telling him to please give it some thought. Ayanokoji acts confused. It's a 50-50, what thought? But Nagumo insisted. Ayanokoji ultimately picks the winning card, ending the game and Nagumo's visit. But there's more to the scene than you think. Reading it over a few times, it's so good because it's the author giving us a map of how Nagumo operates. And I'll explain because it'll make things so much more fun. Do you recall the hidden plot I shared in volume 7? Where Ayanokoji tricks Ryuuen, making him think Hirata is X by confronting Manabe, facing off against Manabu, ignoring Ryuen's taunts and paper shuffle, and showing up again in volume 7. Ayanokoji feeds you information, making you think what he wants you to think. Nagumo operates similarly, using information as his weapon, but has his own flavor. This game is the perfect example. If you try to read Nagumo's intentions, there's only 2 choices. Either he's cheating or he's not. But he'll feed you information in both directions, so you never know what's up. If you think he's not cheating, you have enough reason. He deliberately chose a sealed deck, let everyone shuffle, and even though the third years were in on the plan, they put up an amazing performance, acting like they had no clue. They were uneasy, saying they don't want to play. They even chose the Joker multiple times on purpose and acted surprised when they did. It's easy to assume it's under Nagumo's orders. Nagumo intentionally planted these clues to make you think he'll play fair. But if you think he is cheating, there are clues for that. Dude, he even gives them to you, like literally yelling out who's gonna win or lose. And if that's not bait enough, in the last round, during Ayanokoji and Nagumo's one-on-one, when Nagumo picks the Joker, Ishikura makes a scene acting surprised, even calling out how Nagumo should win. He put up an amazing act so far. Why mess up at the very last moment? Isn't that too convenient? I don't think it is. I think it's deliberate. I think Nagumo told him to do it, to cast suspicion on himself, because that is how he operates. While Ayanokoji feeds you information in one direction, Nagumo feeds you information in all directions. So you never really know what he's doing, making him super unpredictable. And I gotta say, Ayanokoji played this perfectly. It could not have been better. Before I break down why, you have to understand his goal. It's to avoid Nagumo's attention at all costs. The only reason he cares about Manabu's deal is to preserve his relationship with Kei. There is no benefit in enticing Nagumo. That's why he didn't volunteer to play cards. He wants to see if Nagumo lost interest, if he'll reach out to him. And when he called our boy to join, he knew he didn't shake Nagumo off. During the first round, Ayanokoji got the Joker. This is the ideal situation. But why? Isn't getting the Joker bad? Well, it is if you're trying to win. But Ayanokoji doesn't care about that. He wants to act clueless. And having the Joker is a blessing. Because if you already have the Joker, you don't have to act. Say for example, you're playing the game and you know someone else has the marked Joker. You have to put on an act constantly to make it look like you don't know the Joker is marked. The exact act Tsunoda and Ishikura had to put on, which we know Ayanokoji can do, but why even bother? That's why he says, in a way, having drawn the Joker right away may turn out to be a good thing. Second round, he gets Joker again. Amazing. But Nagumo isn't having it. He makes sure it comes down to a 1v1 and taunts Ayanokoji to get a reaction. Ayanokoji makes an excuse saying he's expressionless. Again, Nagumo's information network is wide. If Ayanokoji is lying, he'd know. But given our boy's reputation, it's nothing but the truth. And when it comes down to Ayanokoji's pick, he has to pick between the winning card and the losing card. Here, the card he's picking is not as important as how he acts. Because I'm sure another way Nagumo is probing the first years is to see if anyone noticed his trick. that the Joker is marked. It's a first year worth watching. That could be why he told everyone about the trick, except for the first years. And Ayanokoji navigates this perfectly, expressing multiple times that he's clueless. And this is a 50-50. I really can't tell which one is which, so I'll just randomly pick one. If you don't know the Joker is marked, this is how you would act. But Ayanokoji also deliberately picks the winning card, because that way the game ends. There's no conversation. Nagumo can no longer probe him. The irony here is, Nagumo came to get information on Ayanokoji, but got nothing, while Ayanokoji learned how Nagumo operates. Now that is gangster. Day 3 and things are rocky as ever. They had to prep breakfast and Ishizaki wasn't having it. He got into an argument and messed up the miso soup. No one wants to do it over. Meanwhile, Hashimoto, Albert, and Ayanokoji were pros. Now these are your chefs. Ayanokoji and Albert also learned to talk with only eye contact. However, the worst part was yet to come. Koenji. Dude skipped out on prep and only showed up for the food. The resentment within Ishizaki. Yeah, this relationship is done. Later that evening, Ayanokoji noticed Ichinose running. Her mood looked better. From a glance, Ayanokoji could tell her groupmates. One of them was Mei Yu. We finally get her intro. She's from China. Top notch when it comes to academics. Kinda like a female version of Yukimura. Because she is also terrible at sports. Ayanokoji noticed her struggle, but Ichinose and Hyori helped her out. Since Ryuuen retired, Hyori was leading the girls. So this group had both the class B and D leaders. This got Ayanokoji thinking, but he needs more information. In class, they covered speeches. Every student had to give one. Ishizaki blurted out how stupid this was, and the teachers heard the remark. Although there wasn't a penalty, Kiriyama scolded both him and Koenji. But Koenji barely registered his words, leading to a confrontation. Koenji argued he didn't have to do any of this. He just has to ace the exam. Kiriyama's skeptical he could even do that. It wasn't even a question for Koenji. As far as he's concerned, the entire group combined wouldn't measure up to him. Kiriyama found his comments childish. It got heated until Ishikura de-escalated. Meanwhile, Nagumo is watching. He commended Ishikura for his tact, saying how unlucky it is that Manabu is his opponent. Remember, Ishikura is the leader of class 3B, in direct competition with Manabu, and it's their last semester. The point difference is 312. Ishikura confessed luck has nothing to do with it. He's just outmatched. Nagumo offered to help Ishikura to take down Manabu together, maybe even get him expelled. But Ishikura rejected him. He doesn't trust Nagumo, not with his class's fate. It was now lunch, time for Ayanokoji to act. Again, seeing Hyori and Honami together got his mind going. But he's still missing something. So he turned to Kei, his only option. He instructed her to keep tabs on every group. Kei knew to be ready for contact. That's why she sits at the same spot every day. So Ayanokoji always knows where she is. Conversely, Ayanokoji sat at a different spot each time, getting rid of any suspicion. Ayanokoji looked at Kei once. She knew what was up. Inside, she couldn't help but be happy. Ayanokoji sat near her and she made this adorable purring noise, letting him know that she knows. Ayanokoji's like, weird but okay. Our boy waited for Kei's friends to leave and it was go time. Kei started asking if he's finally ready to rely on her. She made sure not to look back, but was having a great time. She had this whole thing going on where she's pretending to be a spy, narrating to herself. At times like this, female spies don't act foolishly. She was excited that Ayanokoji needed her, but in true tsundere manner, she's not gonna let any of it show. However, reading her thoughts night and day, you can see how winter break played out and how honest she is on the inside. And now today, I could see Kiyotaka at last. I was extremely happy that deep down inside, Kiyotaka relied on me as though clinging to me. Even though there's a lot less denial going on compared to the previous volume. Doesn't mean homegirl isn't embarrassed. She tried to regain her composure by teasing Ayanokoji, saying yeah, an antisocial dude like you would have no one to rely on. Oh, if she wants to play, Ayanokoji was in the mood to play, saying, oh, I guess you'll be safe on your own then. Kei had no rebuttal. She put up a front, but not a convincing one. Ultimately, Kei caved, asking him to help out. I don't know about you guys, but the vibe is way more flirty now, and I'm all for it. However, Kei did have a legit question. Ryuuen. Even with the girls, he's a hot topic. But for Kei, it was personal. Ayanokoji understood and comforted her, saying he won't do anything. Kei found peace within his words. However, Ayanokoji used her first name, and girl still wasn't ready for it. She panicked as her name left his lips. She did her best to hide it, but there ain't hiding anything from our boy. He noticed she was embarrassed right away. Listen, Ayanokoji is a man of great understanding. He's going to do the honorable thing, which is to turn up the trolling to 1,000,000. Dude bombarded her. That didn't seem like nothing, Kei. Is that true, Kei? And each time the poor girl's heart took a ginormous leap. She finally figured out what he's doing, flipping out, almost turning around, regretting letting him use her first name. But fun aside, time for business. Kei gave him all the info she had, but Ayanokoji zeroed in on Arisu and Masumi. Arisu formed a group with a three-way mix, which means one class is missing, or should I say, left out. Kei confirmed it. Arisu's group denied Class B students. She didn't initiate the policy though. Masumi took the lead, going out of her way to say Ichinose can't be trusted. But here's the key. All other classes and students are the enemies. So why single out Ichinose and her class? Ayanokoji realized Arisu's strategy. At least on the surface, it's similar to the Class A boys. They formed a group right away with a Class A majority, which is safe, a good strategy. So Arisu 100% came up with it. But again, it doesn't suit someone as aggressive as her. It's likely because she wants to act behind the scenes. Targeting Ichinose, having Masumi initiate fits perfectly. No one can pin the blame on her. Given the clues, Ayanokoji warned Kei. This exam could get stormy, but assured her no harm will come her way. With that, they parted. Kei wanted to see him off, but knew it was risky. Later that night, Ayanokoji entered the bath. He shared small talk with Kanzaki, who was keen on keeping their alliance. Ayanokoji expressed gratitude for that. It's just funny seeing him say this and knowing he literally engineered Ichinose's biggest problem. However, Ichinose likes Horikita more for her honesty rather than her abilities. Ayanokoji found this hilarious because sure, when it comes to keeping her promise, Horikita is honest. But when it comes to her personality, she's anything but. Suddenly, Shibata and Yamauchi interrupt. A matter of urgent importance. A quest to see which first year had the biggest, eggplant. Unlike Kei's dream, this time I'm not talking about a real eggplant. Neither Kanzaki nor Ayanokoji were amused. But there is no escape because Sudo barged in, asking who is the alpha. That means exactly what you think it means. Ayanokoji wants to leave, but Sudo pulled him over, asking if he's the alpha. Ayanokoji knew better than to feed the trolls, but he lucked out because at the moment Kaneda was the alpha. Makes sense after he styled on Shibata. Dude definitely has balls. Sudo approached him, boldly disrobing without notice, giving him a full 4K 360-degree HD angle view. Shibata gasped, and within seconds it was over. Kaneda fled, finally finding peace within himself. Ayanokoji hoped this was the end, but baby, we're just getting started. A new challenger approached, Yahiko, but he wasn't in the competition. You can think of him like a Pokemon trainer, but he wasn't about to choose no Pikachu. He wagered the stallion of Class A, Katsuragi, who again was just trying to take a bath. Ayanokoji saw Katsuragi with a bottle of shampoo, really curious to see where he'd use it. Bruh, why you gotta do him like this? Katsuragi tried escaping, but Hashimoto cut off his route, cheering him on, even inspecting his weapon. Going, oh, you might be able to do this. Cause Class A's pride is on the line. Man, first they kick him from leadership, and now this? That's just cruel. While Ayanokoji was still asking the most important question. Where is Katsuragi gonna use that shampoo? Turns out it's actually on his head. Ayanokoji is getting a whole source of crucial intel today. With the cheering, Katsuragi folded and had his match with Sudo. Yamauchi crouched down real low, watching both eggplants closely, like a farmer inspecting his crops. They were equal in all ways. It's a draw. But soon they had a new challenger, youngster Ishizaki, who had his own Pokemon, one no one could take lightly, Albert. Every boy had him on their minds, even if they didn't want to. This is Ishizaki's turn to get revenge for the humiliation he faced. Albert didn't even disrobe. Ishizaki did it for him. Dude just stood there like a god. As expected, none matched him. A defeat 100 times worse than the sports festival. Albert's weaponry demoralized anyone within a 10-mile radius. And given Sudo's proximity, he broke down to a blubbering mess. No judge needed, the difference is that big. Just before Albert is crowned the alpha, there's one who dared approach, donning the golden maid of a lion, Koenji. Oh no. Dude was confident, the perfect being with the perfect body. Not scared of Albert at all. I gotta say, Koenji's priorities are solid. Doing work to, avoid expulsion? Nah. But measuring eggplants with other dudes? You know he's down for that. However, no one was convinced he's a match for Albert, so they added Katsuragi to the competition, who still is as uncomfortable as ever. Ayanokoji noticed Katsuragi's weapon, eloquently coding. His thing swayed from left to right. Ishizaki was having a blast. He can use Albert to get revenge on both Sudo and Koenji. Dude, that's better than Christmas. It was now a three-way, not the type you're used to watching. Albert versus Koenji versus Katsuragi. Again, Katsuragi versus Albert, no match. Albert even impressed Koenji. Dude clapped. While Katsuragi had enough, finally retired to his bath. It was down to Koenji and Albert. Koenji had a policy to only show it to women, but he'll make an exception. He unleashed his beast upon the world. And real talks, nothing describes it better than Ayanokoji's words. In an instant, a dazzling light filled my eyes. A sword covered by the blonde mane of a lion. No, it's too big to be called a sword. Even Albert was shocked, quietly whispering in English, "Oh my God." It was dead silent, broken by whispers, questioning if Koenji was indeed human. Ayanokoji assumed it's finally over. How wrong he was. From a tub not too far away, he could feel a twisted aura emanating. Pure evil. Ryuuen. Koenji doubts he's a match. And Ryuen's like, yeah, I'm not trying to match that. But he points out the competition isn't over. There's still one boy covering up. Everyone was confused. Wait, who? And at that moment, Ayanokoji knew he messed up. Let his guard down. This is what Ryuuen is after. Ryuuen did not name him, but everyone's eyes soon landed on our boy. He was caught. Direct payback for the rooftop. Revenge is a dish best served, naked? Cause the boys soon closed in. Enemies on all sides. Yahiko wasn't convinced. Ayanokoji? Nah. But curiosity arose. Why is he covering up? Ayanokoji's frank. He's not interested. But that wasn't a good answer. They narrowed in. There is no running. And off in the distance, you can hear Ryuuen cackling like a maniac. His eyes screaming, "I will make you taste defeat." Ryuuen didn't know if Ayanokoji was big or not. It didn't matter. All that matters is the humiliation. Ayanokoji carefully analyzed the situation. He could use his skills to escape, but that would be a headache later. He can't avoid taking a bath the rest of the trip. All the training in the White Room never readied him for this situation. Koenji laughed, telling him not to be shy. Ayanokoji just came here to relax. What a pity. Well, as a man with a weapon, if he needs to fight, he'll fight. He disrobed, sending the crowd into utter disbelief. Koenji's surprised he had a match. They were both neck to neck. No pun intended. Two T-Rexes going head to head. No pun intended. Everyone just stared in awe. However, to Koenji, it's still his win. Sure, they're both T-Rexes, but his has gobbled more prey. And with that, he retired to the bath. I gotta say, this isn't the fan service scene we needed, but the one we deserved. We move forward to nighttime, and Ayanokoji is wide awake. Is it because of the humiliation? Maybe, but someone left a note under his pillow. It just said 1 a.m., so he'd stay up. While awake, he reflected on the camp. The only thing that mattered is your group's unity. Simple in theory, but hard with randoms. That's why mixing classes nets more points. The school rewards you for working with the enemy. Adaptable students like Hashimoto excel, but Ayanokoji doesn't have to worry about anything. This time, he's the observer. That's more than enough to get Manabu off his case. And as for Class C doing well or not, that's their problem. As expected, Ayanokoji heard a small creak at the door. Someone sent a signal using the flickering lights. Ayanokoji wandered into the darkness, but soon heard footsteps and followed. It was Manabu. He asked our boy if he knows what's up. Obviously, Ayanokoji knows Manabu suspects that Nagumo is up to something. Nagumo made a grand public challenge, said he'd fight fair and square, but hasn't done a thing to guide his group. That's why Manabu is worried. He wants intel from Ayanokoji, but our boy straight up lied to him, saying he hasn't noticed anything strange, but explained without bringing in a third party, Nagumo can't do much. Manabu knew he had this in the bag. His large group is more united. If they take the exam now, he'll win. Ayanokoji asks what's the chance Nagumo breaks his promise. Manabu did not see it happening. They've worked together for years. Nagumo always honors his word. Ayanokoji has doubts. He could give Manabu advice, but if that's what he believes, it won't help. Manabu senses this isn't going anywhere and decides to take his leave. But before he did, he answered Ayanokoji's question. The student council can influence exams, like changing rules and penalties, but they can't do anything they like. As Manabu left, Ayanokoji muttered, he might lose. And we know why Ayanokoji says this. Because of the card game earlier. Remember, Nagumo leaves clues in all directions, which can easily be applied to this challenge. What clues are there? Well, we've seen enough that he'll play fair, making the challenge public, agreeing to Manabu's conditions. And the biggest one, like Manabu said, he keeps his promises. This is why he believes Nagumo. But what's the other possibility? It's him not fighting fair, like Ayanokoji mentions, involving a third party. That's the only option, since Manabu's group is more united. Ayanokoji didn't say this for fun. It's him subtly hinting that, hey, this might happen. You need to be ready for it. Again, our boy is not trying to get involved. This is as far as he goes. And he has good reason to believe Nagumo will try something. Because during the card game, he was up to something. Why would this be any different? Manabu is only ready for Nagumo playing fair. And hey, if Nagumo honors his word, it'll work out. But if he doesn't, Manabu has no safety net. That's why Ayanokoji said he might lose. Manabu is ready for one outcome, but fully unprepared for the other. And you know, for Ayanokoji, a plan that is not airtight isn't a plan. There is another possibility of why Ayanokoji says this, but I can't mention it without spoiling everything. Don't worry, we'll come back to it in part 3. From here, the story moves to Ichinose's point of view. The exam is rough. In her group, she's the only Class B student, and there were problem children like Manabe. However, she did have Hiyori, who volunteered to be leader. Ichinose didn't take the role because she has no faith in this group. Her only goal is to avoid expulsions. However, problems popped up. For example, Meiyu's struggling. Ichinose wants to help, but the majority mix is from Class A and D. There are massive egos. If she steps out of line, it could be chaos. However, with Hiyori's backing, she was able to help Meiyu. But as far as unity goes, yeah, not here. However, that would soon change. The girls start gossiping. The juiciest topic? Honami's love life. They don't get a chance like this often, and Ichinose is super popular. They all thought she's dating Nagumo. Ichinose brushed it off. She doesn't like him like that. When it comes to love, she's inexperienced. Remember the trouble in Volume 2? She's naive enough to answer questions she should really not be answering. The girls teased her for it, wondering if Ichinose is the type of girl that can't lie. But Ichinose corrected them. She'll lie if it's an exam, although she does try to avoid it and is bad at telling lies meant to hurt people. The girls are confused. Aren't lies meant to avoid hurt? Ichinose agreed. Lies meant to avoid hurt are gentle ones. But deep down inside, she knew. For her, that's not the case. One lie turns into 2, then 3. It only delays the inevitable. The hurt will eventually happen. She's experienced it firsthand and wants to avoid that scenario at all costs. Avoid those painful days. This sets up the entire theme for Volume 9. Day 5, and it's time to practice the relay. And you know no activity is complete without Ishizaki complaining every waking second. They saw a sign to watch out for wild boars, and Hashimoto starts roasting Ayanokoji, wondering what's bigger, the boar or the beast in Ayanokoji's pants. Everyone starts laughing. Albert even claps, while Ayanokoji experienced what could only be described as pain. However, the laughter soon stopped as the training took its toll. The terrain is brutal, winding roads. It would take 4 hours to get back. They might miss lunch. Some suggest running, but with the fatigue, it's not happening. It's nothing for Ayanokoji though. He used the free time to think. Who can run in the relay? Yahiko? Yukimura? Nah. Koenji can, but won't. Because in the middle of training, Toot straight up vanishes. No one is happy. But Ayanokoji saw an opportunity. He told them he'd go look for Koenji. Given the situation, it's welcome. Hashimoto offered to help, but our boy refused. It would defeat the purpose. Not too many chances to talk to Koenji alone. Perfect time to make a move. Ayanokoji chased the man, but Koenji went through some tough terrain. And as Ayanokoji catches up, Koenji picked up the pace, going even further into no man's land. Our boy had to match him, but he did so effortlessly and questioned Koenji. Koenji thought he saw a boar, so he wanted to chase. He'll return on his own. However, Koenji sensed Ayanokoji had more to say. He told him to spit it out. Okay, on the day of the exam, Ayanokoji wants Koenji to help out. Koenji was sick of hearing this blabber. Ayanokoji straight ignored his complaints, saying all he needs to do is get a normal score. Koenji countered that's not his decision to make. Koenji moved to leave, but Ayanokoji gripped his hand. Koenji tried moving, but our boy did not budge. Koenji laughed softly, going, so that's how it is. Ayanokoji asked what he meant. Koenji said it like it is. Ayanokoji is the one who tamed Dragon Boy. His facade is on another level. Ayanokoji won't acknowledge Koenji's words. But to Koenji, it didn't matter. Once he has a feeling, that's it. Apparently, he felt the truth from the heat of Ayanokoji's arms? An absurd reason. But the more believable one is that Koenji read Ryuuen and his surroundings. The way he acts around Ayanokoji said everything. Ayanokoji knew Koenji's nature. Once his mind is made up, that's it. Smoke and mirrors won't help. Koenji told him to relax. He's not gonna reveal Ayanokoji's secret. Even if Ayanokoji is a bit talented, his existence is nothing compared to Koenji. Well, no progress here, so Ayanokoji asks again, will he cooperate on the last day? Koenji stuck to his guns. Nope, he'll do what he wants. Ayanokoji had other ways for Koenji to cooperate, but if they backfire, it could be bad. So he called it a day. Whatever happens, happens. Actually, this time around, I'm gonna leave it to you guys. How do you think Ayanokoji would get Koenji to cooperate? Leave a comment down below letting me know. And if you have the best answer, 100% your comment is getting pinned. Ayanokoji made his way back, saying Koenji is not coming. Not a soul was surprised. They arrived at the checkpoint. Sai did roll call. As the students go on ahead, Ayanokoji stays back, now alone with Sai. She asked if he needs something. Ayanokoji's like, nope, he's just waiting for Koenji. And the man did arrive, covered in leaves, mentioning a wild boar. Sai looked really confused, going, wild boar? And now we get to the first hidden plot of this volume, Koenji's secret challenge to Ayanokoji. What do I mean? Remember when Ayanokoji was chasing Koenji? Dude sped up, going through merciless terrain. It was on purpose. He knew Ayanokoji is chasing, so Koenji indirectly challenged him, seeing if he could keep up. Why? Because Koenji wants to show he's superior to our boy. Ayanokoji beat him before. Remember that huge scene in volume 7? With Arisu, Ryuuen, and Koenji. Ryuuen asked Koenji, who do you think is X? And at that moment, Koenji didn't know. That's why he didn't answer, giving an excuse, saying he didn't want to rob from Ryuuen the pleasure of chasing X. But during this volume, Koenji starts suspecting Ayanokoji. It begins when he notices Ryuuen and Ishizaki acting strange around our boy. It caught his eye, so he starts watching Ayanokoji. That's why he paid attention during that last game of Old Maid, Ayanokoji versus Nagumo. Remember, I said it would be relevant. This is why. In that showdown, Koenji noticed something, which gave him enough reason to extend this challenge. And when Ayanokoji catches up, that sealed the deal. I don't know if you've noticed, but Koenji is competitive. This is evident when he gives up one of the ways of reaching Class A to see if Nagumo can read him. But he's only competitive to those he acknowledges. And Ayanokoji is one of those people. He impressed Koenji. It's clear when he compliments his act. Seems like you're pretty good at playing dumb. You don't let anything slip through when you feign indifference. Dude, how many times do you see Koenji genuinely complimenting anyone? And Sai being surprised at the mention of a boar is the final piece of the puzzle. Because if there are really boars out here, why is Sai confused? Not sure if she's done this exam before or not, but even if she hasn't, the school would caution her if there are wild animals. Do you know how dangerous boars are? They're super aggressive. If there were boars here, she would know. I don't think there are. I think Koenji saw the sign, thought it would be a great excuse, the perfect cover for their challenge, because Koenji wants to prove he's superior. Once we know that, this entire conversation makes so much sense. The fact that he questions Ayanokoji, by the way, do you still have some business with me? Before, every single time, Koenji would straight up ignore our boy and wander off. Why ask now? Why bring up the fact he tamed Ryuuen? Why now? None of it is a coincidence. It was a challenge from the beginning. And in part 3, I'll show you another confirmation. Ayanokoji caught up with the crew, and Yukimura is falling apart. Dude sprained his ankle. Hashimoto carried him without an ounce of displeasure on his face. But what took more of a hit than Yukimura's legs is his ego. He hates being a burden, especially when he's the leader. Ayanokoji helped as well, and they carried Yukimura off. In the distance, you can see Koenji descending at record speed. Ayanokoji comments when it came to athletics, Koenji is first in their year. Hashimoto agreed. It's lucky he's insane, or Class A would be in trouble. They brought Yukimura to the infirmary, and Hashimoto didn't even have to say it. He knew to keep this injury a secret. Again, dude knows how to read the room. They miss lunch, so dinner is a blessing. For the first time, the Ayanokoji group dined together. Everyone was curious about Miyaki. He's teamed up with Ryuuen, but to his surprise, Ryuuen took this seriously, doing whatever the exam demanded, and doing better than most. Miyaki tried talking to him, but he stayed clear of everyone. The group wondered what happened to him, but couldn't figure it out. So far, Haruka and Sakura had it easy. Yukimura complained about his group non-stop. Ayanokoji realized why Ishizaki is annoyed. He's probably angry at our boy. Dude hates Ayanokoji but can't touch him, so he's taking it out on everyone else. Day 6 and is back to cleaning. And yo, Yukimura is hilarious. He hurt himself cleaning? I didn't even know that was possible. Ishizaki freaked out. Ayanokoji offered to cover, but Ishizaki's not having it. This is Yukimura's responsibility. He has to do it. Yukimura bit the bullet and pushed himself. A necessity to stop the fighting. Yahiko watched this all go down, calling out Ishizaki for taking things too far. Yukimura wasn't the only one slacking. So was Koenji. Ishizaki can't talk to Koenji. He does not speak gorilla. But hey, if Yahiko wants to try, go on ahead. Yeah, that did nothing. Ishizaki had enough. Dude let out a full-on tantrum, saying he hates everyone. Hashimoto's like, good, hate everyone. But please do it while cleaning? Nope, Ishizaki had enough. If Koenji's not cleaning, why should he? Man stormed off. Yukimura bit his lip in frustration. Ayanokoji gave him advice. Stop trying to shoulder everything. Yukimura felt he had no choice. If he gets help, Ishizaki will freak out. If he doesn't, they'll come in last. A no-win situation. Ayanokoji knew something needs to happen, but Yukimura can't do it. It's all up to Hashimoto. Ayanokoji wasn't sure how Katsuragi or Arisu ranked him, but he's capable and hard to read, making him a threat. Ayanokoji gave Yukimura some words of comfort and head on over to dinner. For the moment, he gave up on the boys. At the end of the day, saving Yukimura was not a priority. And hey, if you want to know what happens next, including Ayanokoji's secret plan to protect Kei, just click right here.